Call the honourable member for Werriwa.
As the previous speaker noted, this sector is mature and adult, and that's why they've vigorously opposed this change by the government. In actual fact, a pro bono survey of 1,500 respondents last year found 81% opposed to this suggestion. And recently, 54 major Australian charities signed a statement in regards to the attempt by this government to abolish the ACNC. They noted the launch of the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission of 2012 was a major step forward in creating a regulatory environment that works for the non-profit sector rather than against it. And they went on extensively to support that. If I had any doubts about why the ACNC should be retained, the paucity of argument from the Minister for this change has added to my position. He has come back to say that that was only signed by 54 individuals. He should look through those charities that range across the spectrum in this country. Father O'Reilly, in my own electorate, which does so much for homeless, was a notable signatory. He noted problems with the UK regulation. What that has, he made no analogy, no connection with what happens in Australia as to the UK example. And the most laughable reason he gave for this piece of legislation, given the recent budget, was that, quote, it was an election commitment. That's a major reason he gave for doing this. Quite frankly, that is questionable. I note a choice survey of 2008 which indicated, for those people that are interested in consumer affairs, etc., very strong support for a society, an organisation like this. And it's been endorsed by the 1995 Industry Commission report, a 2001 Howard Government inquiry into charity definition, and many other national surveys leading up to the 2010 Productivity Commission. Now, really, we should ask, why are they trying to do this? And I am very indebted to an article by Mike Seckham in the Sunday paper, the 29th of March 2014. And he indicated that the major people calling for this are, rather interesting, private administrators of charitable trusts, an industry with $3.2 billion of assets. He noted in that article that in 2009, these rather altruistic, kindly people managed to get legislative change in this country that meant that their fees were not to be on the percentage of capital but on income. That article further quoted Peter Wienecke, who was responsible for philanthropic services of the Meyer Family Company. His survey of these private companies which have become to control so many of these charitable trusts in this country. As I say, they are a major advocate for abolishing the ACNC. I wonder why. Because they don't want oversight. They don't want the Australian people to know what is wrong with some charities. They don't want to give confidence to the broader non-profit sector. And he noted that in some cases they are getting up to 40% of earnings of a trust siphoned off to their fees. Now, I noticed that they are members of the Financial Services Council of Australia, and Mr Seckham actually looked up the 2011 to 13 AEC donations, and he found that the Financial Services Councils have had a history of contributing to people on both sides of politics who just happen to be involved in this portfolio area, and members of relevant parliamentary committees in their field. And they, of course, the Financial Services Council, representing this body that wants the abolition of the ACNC, made an interesting donation in recent years, 2011 and 13, to, of course, the North Sydney Forum, run on behalf of the Treasurer of this country. That, of course, is the favourite charity, while we're talking about charitable matters, of the Australian Water Holdings Company. Now, I want to say that what we have seen is significant support for this legislation. People who supposedly are regulated too much, people who are affected by this onerous red tape, are saying they actually want this organisation to operate. We have seen that two entities already, South Australia and ACT, have abolished their state alternatives to oversight this field because there is confidence in the recently established federal ACNC. It has been, as I say, at a very early stage able to give confidence in the sector, and people do want to have confidence because it's not as though there are no problems. I noticed recently as March the 15th this year, the Australian Vaccination Skeptics Network has been covered by the Sydney Morning Herald.
The member's time has expired.